In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Stormtrooper Troop Builder pack for the Vintage Collection. And this was the very first Troop Builder set that we got in TVC, that is. You could make the case that the battle packs that we used to get back in the day are Troop Builder sets as well, but this is like the first of the generic white boxes of generic soldiers that we've been getting in the last few years. So this set was released end of winter, early spring of 2022. And I did get two sets at that time, as you can see, but I ended up having to get them on eBay, and I paid a little bit of a markup for them. Leading into that, I thought, or I missed out on the pre-order for it. I think it was still during that time where pre-orders would go up, and like 15 minutes later, they were always all sold out. I don't know how pre-orders sell out, but in Hasbro's world, that can happen, it seems. But anyway, I missed the pre-order window, and I thought, well, no big deal. Whenever they're finally in stock, I'll just go ahead and get a few on Pulse. I believe you could only get these on Pulse and Shop Disney at the time. Unfortunately, that never really came to be. If they did go back in stock, it was another case where they only went back in stock for a few minutes, and then if you were a few hours after the fact it went back in stock, you were out of luck yet again. So I thought, well, I'm not going to deal with this, so I'll just go ahead and get two sets on eBay. And I think I paid, I forget exactly what I paid, but I probably paid in like the $50 or $50 range for each set, which, yes, it's a little bit of a markup. I believe these sets were $41.99 at the time they debuted. Incredible how in just 2 years' time, the markup we've had since then. But still, I'm not too upset about that. But with that being said, the Stormtrooper set was kind of a letdown for a lot of people. As you can tell already, the paint jobs on most of these were not very good. And that's mostly, well, I have a sample of just about everything that could have been wrong with these. As you can see, the mouth there, paint there is extremely sloppy. And I think just about everyone had a bad sample of a pack. Some of the Stormtroopers turned out alright, but some of them had some severe quality control issues. So that's one example. Another one that's significant on this one is the black line above the brow there. It's not painted straight at all. It's almost like someone just took a marker and tried their best to do a straight line, and of course it didn't work out. And there's some other ones here. Let's see. I think this guy kind of looks like it. The lenses are sloppily painted on there. You can tell they don't quite line up with the eyes very well, or the black paint. And this brow's a little bit off as well. It's kind of unfortunate. And like I said, I think just about everyone that got a set experienced some type of quality control issue. And as I recall, I think there was a cap of how many sets you could get through Pulse. I think most people could only get 2 sets, which is kind of unfortunate because the whole point of a Troop Builder set is to be able to buy as much as you want, and these should be in constant circulation. But of all the Troop Builder sets, this one was probably one of the most restrictive ones that Hasbro did, which is really unfortunate because Stormtroopers should always be in constant production. But that ended up being the case for this one. Or that was not the case for this one. So all these Stormtroopers are just straight repacks, basically, of the Rogue One VC-140 Stormtrooper that you see here. This one here is one of the original ones, and the reason why I can tell it's an original, and that is one thing that is a plus for these Troop Builder sets, is a lot of these Rogue One Stormtroopers ended up yellowing over time, and they're only about 5.5, 6 years old at the time of this video. And as you can see, the helmet and the torso there are much more yellowed compared to these Troop Builder sets. And I have like 8 of these, and every single one of them has yellowed to a certain extent. Very unfortunate. I suppose over time, if I don't do the hydrogen peroxide treatment, chances are I'll probably just use them as like a weathered Stormtrooper or something like that. So despite the faults of these Troop Builder sets, that is one thing that they do have in their favor, is they are a nice shiny white armor. And two and a half years later, they seem to be staying that way, which is pretty good. I think a lot of these Rogue One Stormtroopers, even at the time they were released back in 2018, a lot of them were already showing signs of yellowing at that time. So Hasbro has corrected some things over time, but as usual, they correct some things and then they go back in certain areas. But now, I've done 2 videos on this Stormtrooper at this point. We have the A New Hope Stormtrooper, so I guess technically to a lot of people these Rogue One Stormtroopers are obsolete now. Only real difference is it's all the same exact Stormtrooper, same tooling and everything. The only real difference is the OT Stormtrooper has the holster here. One fact about the OT though is there are some Stormtroopers that you'll see mainly on Tantive 4 and A New Hope where they actually do not have a holster. So not every OT Stormtrooper had a holster. And then the rocker ankles as well. These guys have the hinged ankles and then the beveled end at the end of their leg there, which does have a lot of merits to it. Mainly that these guys can actually fit on a stand. They have a deep enough hole at the bottom of their foot where they can accommodate a stand perfectly. And quite frankly, because of that reason alone, I would almost say that these ankles are far better than even the rocker ankles. Yes, you can get this Stormtrooper much more dynamic poses, but at the same time, it's nice having Stormtroopers where you know you can put them on a stand and they're going to be stable on display on a shelf. You don't have to worry about the domino effect with them. So as I mentioned, and as you can see, there's 2 sets. So each set came with 4 Stormtroopers. Every single one of them is the same exact Stormtrooper. There's no differences at all. And then you get one it's the same Stormtrooper, but they included a orange pauldron with them to signify a squad leader. And especially this Stormtrooper here, I have a really hard time keeping that head on him. He doesn't really want to sit on there too well, so I won't touch it too much. But later on, I will swap out the pauldron with the New Hope Stormtrooper, and we'll see how that looks. Be a nice upgrade. There really isn't a whole lot more I can say about these Stormtrooper packs than what I've said about like this guy here before. But still, they deserve their own video. It was a groundbreaking release in the TVC line. And plus, who can argue about taking a look at more Stormtroopers? His articulation is the exact same. He has like the barbell at the head and then hinged shoulders, elbows, wrists, hinged torso, hinged hips, swivel thigh, hinged knees, and then hinged ankles instead. In terms of accessories, besides the one pauldron for one of the Stormtroopers, all 4 of them come with the E11. And it's the same standard one that we've been getting in the last couple of years. I believe this is like the Rogue One sculpt. And the reason why you can tell that is because of the flashlight on the side here. So all 4 come with one of those. And then 2 of them come with the longer rifle here. Which this is the same rifle that comes with the Shadow Stormtrooper in the TVC line. They have several of those. But at least they didn't just include 4 E11s and that was it. At least they gave something a little extra. But it would have been nice to get something more, maybe like a rocket launcher. They could have done like a rocket launcher Stormtrooper, like the one we see in Fallen Order. The Black Series has one, and I would like to get that action figure at some point. But that would have been a nice accessory, and I'm sure there's other things that Hasbro could make up along the way to include with the Stormtroopers. I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate that. But what else? Yeah, that's pretty much all the accessories. It's just 2 of these longer rifles and then 4 E11s. Guess we'll go ahead and swap out the pauldron here with one of these guys. And you can see that head pops off no problem. One interesting thing I discovered, I have swapped this out before. So the Rogue One Stormtroopers have a black barbell here. But it seems like A New Hope Stormtroopers actually have a white barbell. Just a small thing to note. I'm sure not too many people will realize that. Yeah, the head fits on a little bit better without the pauldron. Seems like the neck is a little bit more accommodating on this Stormtrooper instead. Yeah, you can see that there. That was kind of interesting. Nothing really too unique about the pauldron. Although I do think it's different than anything we've gotten before, so it might be an entirely newly sculpted one. Perhaps if we get some Sand Troopers here soon from Hasbro, this will be the pauldron they use. But yeah, if you happen to have one of these Stormtrooper sets and you haven't already, and you happen to have A New Hope Stormtrooper as well, could upgrade him a little bit. Give the pauldron to the one with the rocker ankles and the holster. He looks pretty good. I'm going to leave him like that for the rest of this video. Lots of opportunities to use these guys. It's very neat. What else can I say about them? I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, I've talked about these Stormtroopers basically several times over. At some point for VC140 here, I will do its own video regardless. Of course, we could talk a little bit more about the off-white or the yellowing on the armor there. But still, that being kind of an innovative Stormtrooper at the time, it definitely deserves its own video. It's nice to finally get a review for these Stormtrooper packs on the channel. But anyways, would I recommend them for your collection? To be honest, at this point, I would not, and I'll tell you why. Because the Stormtrooper sets in particular, are very expensive at this point. I'm not exactly sure what the prices are, but over the last several months, I do check every now and then, and it seems like they're way up in the hundreds now, which is ridiculous. I don't think you should spend that type of money for a Stormtrooper set that potentially has quality control issues, most likely does. And at this point, since the New Hope Stormtrooper seems to be much more plentiful and readily available, I would suggest investing in those. And as far as the pauldron's concerned, you could probably get on eBay, and I guarantee you someone's selling individual pauldrons or accessories like that by itself. And of course, you could always buy a Sand Trooper, and maybe that can accommodate these. And even if you're a big fan of the Rogue One Stormtroopers and you still want this sculpt in your collection, I would suggest just investing in like the VC140 instead. Be much more cheaper, I think. But still, if you find a Stormtrooper set for a decent price and you really, really want it, then by all means, go for it. It's always nice to add some more army builders. And despite the quality control issues, I'm still happy with the set, and I'm glad I got 2. But I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate Hasbro doing a new Stormtrooper Troop Builder set here sooner than later, particularly with the Stormtrooper instead. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support, and check out some links in the description if you haven't done so already. Of course, as always, thanks for watching.